Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Outlander, 100 Weight of Stones. Let's see... Yes. So, I enjoyed this episode, but it's just becoming the recurring theme of how much is stuffed into it. I don't mind things happening at a certain kind of accelerated pace with things kind of going on. However, we are having far too much having to be shoved into episodes for things to go on. It's even not down to execution on things, because we get things that are executed fairly well here. It's just we have so much going on, and the ones that get short shrift at this point are the Roger things and the Brianna things, because we got a check-in with Brianna. It just feels like side quest shit at this point, or even like how Roger's narrating his stuff is going on. So let's hit those things first, because they're almost inconsequential on certain kind of things, even though I hate fucking saying that. The main stuff that we get is like with Claire, John Gray, and then stuff that goes on with William, Ian, and Rachel, and what's kind of going on with that. So, Roger's pretty much just going around with Buck, pretty much finds, pretty much barters with this dude, gets a gemstone so that way they can go back, trying to figure out where the dude with the dog tags are, figuring out what's kind of going on, even using Buckley as a sounding board of what's kind of going on. Maybe it's like linking him to his father or whatnot. Pretty much finds the dude that like found the jacket or what. He's like, it's mine. And Roger is, I don't mind reticence of like somebody if they've like captured someone or beat the shit out of someone to steal their kind of stuff, but he's just asking like questions that if you had said something, he would have probably left your ass alone. But he's like, no, mine, see, it reminded me, alright, I know this is going to be like a weird fucking kind of almost tangent kind of thing, but it reminded me of like Courage the Cowardly Dog, of like Eustace finding something, it's like, it's mine, asshole, and just fucking being a dick about it. It's like, alright, we're booking, alright, as they kind of just fuck off. Then we also get into the effect of Brianna being kind of like pissed off at the whole kind of situation, putting Mandy to bed, and then Rob Cameron pops up like, yeah, we're here. Jem won't tell me where the gold is, and we're going to fly to America. And she, like, knocks his ass out. I mean, he's trying to come off as, like, the kind of villain-ass dude, but I'm like, you're a complete dumbass. And Brie just fucking, like, tanks his ass out. It's like, we don't even... See, the issue comes in the effect of we don't really have time, and the better kind of stuff is mainly with Claire and Jamie, which I agree that needs to focus on, but we don't even really have the base motivations other than he wants the gold. There is stuff that, like, pops up from, like, the summaries that I've read, and also kind of discussions with my mom, who's read the books and everything, that there's kind of deeper, there's at least some motivating factors other than, I read this shit about gold, and I want this gold. It's like, honestly, if it was in, like, another country and potentially could have been gone for, like, hundreds of years, I would have just fucked off. I just would have been like, what's the fucking, like, if it could potentially, theoretically have been pointed to, like, hey, it's probably within, like, a couple 100 miles of where you're at, or at least the country that you're in, sure, but you gotta fly to the U.S. You then gotta get into, like, the state that it's in. You gotta trek through the wilderness to potentially get it, and then you gotta figure out customs involved, shipping, and everything. I know this sounds like complete and utter overanalyzing, but it's, you have to understand, do his motivations put this shit that sounds stupid and grindy and time-consuming, is it for some kind of big-ass kind of purpose, and we don't get it other than he wants the gold and Jem won't tell him where it's at, and he's pretty much now come to pretty much fuck with the mother to get the kid to be more compliant. And it's like, yeah, I'll fucking, like, kill you, kill the kid, and it's like, then you don't have the gold. That's always the funny kind of bit whenever somebody's trying to do that kind of shit. So she knocks his ass out, and that's where it kind of is. My kind of issue with this season is also how we transition things. Sometimes it's just like out of nowhere that you're like, oh, now we're with fucking Roger or Brianna, and then it just pops up and it's like, it's almost like they didn't know what they kind of wanted to do and just stuck things into certain kind of places. So, we've dealt with those kind of two things. Let us now deal with the majority of what's kind of going on. So, we start off the episode doing the marriage of Lord John and Claire, which I think is handled very well and acted very well by the actors. Claire is pretty much in a state of shock, repeating all the lines and everything that she has to. William Ransom's there as one of the kind of witnesses to what's kind of going on. Also, William, I do like him questioning Lord John why he's doing this and everything, and it's like, he was my friend, and I already have my happiness. Pretty much leading into of like William being his happiness. It's like, that's really kind of cool. And top marks. Claire and Lord John just fucking rock their shit with their acting for this. It just, they do it. They're both just desperate at this point, but handling it in different kind of ways. Claire getting into more of a kind of raged kind of mindset, thinking about killing herself. John just unbearably sad and drinking, sitting next to a chessboard like him and Jamie would do before we get to the point where they actually consummate their marriage, which is done in kind of like an artsy-fartsy kind of way. I kind of rather would have just had it stopped at a certain kind of point, as they're both kind of just like, they're not gonna, Lord John doesn't want to mourn alone, and they decide to bang as they're pretty much banging each other. But the best thing that comes out of this is afterwards, where they're kind of discussing everything of what's kind of going on, and Lord John with other kind of lovers, any kind of women. Isabel, it's been like 15 years or whatnot. But then he also has a lover at the place that he usually is based, who is Native American, and that he pretty much brings up the story of this white stag, and that you just appreciate the time that you have, and that he doesn't really talk with his lover, and that the most that they've talked about has been, he's talked with anyone is pretty much like what he's having this discussion with Claire, and it's really good to get that kind of character development of what's kind of going on between the two of them. We also get that Ian pretty much gives the info dump of what has happened with Rachel. I'm of two minds of this. I'm glad that we see Rachel's reaction to him having had a wife before and also having a kid, but the kind of situation. But we've already seen this, done this, had this kind of explained before, and if you're going to make the argument to me that you don't have time to get into depth and details with this stuff, I rather would have you just had Ian give the dump and give, not even show that dump, and then have Rachel's reaction afterwards. As we pretty much see them being kind of cutesy, being like telling that they love each other, and learning that he had not proposed marriage to her before kind of going into it, and them having more of a solid relationship. We see that also Lord John is pretty much trying to push them into the public, pretty much to assuage the asshole dude trying to go after Claire for espionage, doing this whole kind of thing, and pretty much Claire being like, I'm not going to fucking do it. He's like, listen, you don't have to love me. We don't have to share a bed or anything, but you need to be my wife for this shit. We gotta make this work. This is how we survive. It's like, very good argument there, John. As we see that she's at first not going to do it, but then she comes down in the dress, which the strength, like, one of the strongest things of this show is the costuming. Like, goddamn, motherfuck, holy shit, you guys know what you're doing on that front. That's just, Claire's great. The outfits that they get, it just works. And set design, too. So we see her pretty much there. We see the asshole kind of pop up, and then pretty much being playing him an opportunist. And trying to get over and control Lord John, mainly to control his brother. she's like, fuck off, fuck you. And it's like, even though you say you're a rebel, I'm just, whatever. I don't know what your whole kind of game plan is. Leave me out of this. We also see that they check in with Lord John's cousin, family, cousin, nephew? No, not cousin. It'd be nephew if it's his brother's son. Sorry, yes. Sorry. Still trying to figure out the dynamics. And he's like doing better, but he wants to stay and get married to Mercy. Is Woodcock? Mercy? Her house. Yes. And Lord John's like not having any of it. But we... he knows what they would have to go through. And it's funny because Claire calls him out like, you've had to hide your love and everything like that. He's like, yeah, that's expressly why I'm trying to protect them from this kind of stuff. It's like, I understand. It's cool that they're able to have that kind of nuance and everything kind of in there, and how they're kind of like dealing with that. We also saw at the party that William is more infatuated with Rachel, and that this one woman was trying to pretty much put the moves on his ass, but he really wasn't having any of it. Claire pretty much told him that it's nice to dance as like a distraction and everything, and that's how pretty much William's able to turn it on to her. And I do have to hand it to the actor that he's able to do this weird kind of fusion where you're able to see what would happen if Jamie was like an aristocratic Englishman, if that makes sense. Like the perfect kind of fusion of like Lord John and Jamie, of being able to like turn that shit on other people. It's so kind of weird, but it's kind of awesome when it works. Let's see, am I missing stuff? I know I'm going to miss stuff because I'm trying to hit the main kind of important bits for this, and there's just like a fuck ton of them. Let's see, I've hit the main ones on those. So then we get towards the end of the episode, and we've pretty much got that Lord John has gotten more invitations. They've got to at least accept one of them. Ian also checks in with his Auntie Claire and is afraid that she'd leave for her normal time, the time that she's from, and she's like, no, I'm staying here. This is my home, and he's really happy for that, and that really sells their relationship, because I know that's a big kind of part with the books, and I at least have to give the show that much for them being able to handle their relationship of young Ian and Claire, and how close a relationship they've had, and how much shit they've kind of gone through throughout this show. So it's like, yeah. Sorry, I wanted to backtrack and at least circle on that one, because that's an important bit, and I really think that needs to be hit upon. But the thing is, we've got Lord John pretty much hitting, we need to at least do some of these things. One of them has got like tea, dinners, that kind of thing. But the thing is, they get interrupted by one of the servants being like, I tried to stop his ass. But then we see that Jamie is alive, and they're both like, fucking like, holy fucking shit. John being like, yeah. And then Claire putting the smooches and stuff like that. And of course, we learn that William is about to come home saying about his son. And then that's also the double whammy that William learns that Jamie is his son. Not Jamie is his son. Jamie is his father. Sorry. Striking, keeping everything. That William learns that he is the son of Jamie. All that kind of stuff. The whole kind of papist stuff, him tossing the rosary beads at Jamie. We see that redcoats are after Jamie. He takes Lord John hostage. They kind of run out, and William's just like dumbfounded, being like fucking pissed off, his calling out Lord John for lying to him, and all that kind of shit. We'll also have to see the next fallout of Jamie learning about what Lord John has done. And then also a little thing is that Claire was not wearing the ring at first, but then decided to wear the ring later on as the camera focused in on that. The ring that she got from marrying Lord John as well. She's got 3 wedding rings and everything, and them kind of talking about that as well was a nice little touch. So, we've got a lot of shit going on. Jamie's going to have to deal with a lot of stuff with Lord John. William is going to be freaking ass crazy going on. Jamie was able to explain, it's like, yeah, the thing is, the dude tried to get out of port faster, and they got my shit on board, but they didn't get my ass on board. I don't know if it will go the same route as the books because Jenny comes with him in the books. We'll see if they do that here. I know that's an important bit because it shifts where families are, where the dynamics are, how relationships will kind of work out. Fuck. I would have almost just rather had a truncated episode that dealt with all of the Roger and Brianna stuff and have it just handled as much as possible and then had more time and room to breathe for these other things, because it just feels like I can barely breathe telling all this kind of stuff because they don't go as in depth to it that it could. And that's the thing. Even though I haven't read the books from this point for that depth, even the summaries go into depth on certain kind of things. It's like, ugh. Now it's not like the point of like the Wheel of Time where it's like, hey, this is this dress and this person who has a slightly different name than that person, but they're a different kind of person and could potentially be working for the Shadow or being a double agent to work against the Shadow while things are going on. I know that doesn't make any sense unless you're like getting under the Wheel of Time, but that goes into a lot of shit. Holy fuck. That one's got a lot of books, and one where almost fuck all happens in one book. It's like 14 books, and there's one where it's like, wow, nothing. I never really felt that with this, though it was mainly on what the editors, I think, were attempting to focus on with certain things. They're more like, do this romance, or do this other kind of thing. It's like, just let the woman cook and do her things, because you can tell the strengths of, like, Jamie and Claire as the anchor characters. And then going out from that, from, like, young Ian and Lord John and other kind of characters as well. And it, again, biggest kind of thing is that I understand that you need to figure out how much time you need to tell a story, and I think that these stories needed more than this second part and another season. We need more episodes on this, and if that means other kind of costs need to be like changed up or whatnot, sure. We don't need giant ass flashy effects for this. Know what you're trying to do. I mean, we don't need to fucking force fling anybody or make a giant weird kind of CGI Michael Bay fucking explosion if we need to. We don't have dragons, we don't have ice zombies, we don't have wizards and shit to kind of contend with. Less is more on certain kind of effects, sure, but just focus on the stories that need to be told and tell them well. And for the most part, even the ones that we've got here are told well enough, but it's like, you're just smushing it all together, man. So we'll see what kind of works out here. There's a lot of good kind of character development, and of course Claire and Lord John get the bulk of it, and they do very well. They're the ones that I'm like, yes. Young Ian and Rachel, I'm good with it because we're getting our kind of relationship, and they don't spend an inordinate amount of time on it. Roger and Brianna at this point, it's just essentially like spinning wheels or spinning plates to get them back to where the action is for pretty much what we need. So we'll see how that kind of goes. Very strange. This is a weird one for me to review. And especially doing episode by episode, because I can pick out certain kind of things, but then I was like, oh, this will be interesting because I could delve more into certain kind of things. It was like, yeah, we're going to like fucking shoot shit at you. So we'll see how this kind of goes. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.